Have you ever been enjoying a fantastic game only for everything to grind to a complete halt because nobody can agree what a rule actually means? Before you know it, the tape measures are out, the rulebook is being flicked through for the third time, somebody's searching online for a designer's comment from 5 years ago, and that brilliant battle has completely lost its momentum. So today I want to talk about how we can resolve those moments quickly, fairly, and most importantly, get back to enjoying the game. If you've been in the hobby for any length of time, you've almost certainly experienced it. Two players are having a great game, everything is flowing nicely, and then somebody asks what seems like a perfectly simple question. Can that unit actually see the target? Does the hedge provide cover? Is the charge distance measured from here or there? Before long, you're both reading the same paragraph in the rulebook but somehow coming away with completely different interpretations. It happens with every rule set, whether it's a fast-moving skirmish game or a large divisional battle. No rules writer can anticipate every situation that might arise in a tabletop filled with terrain, miniatures and imaginative players. Now, one thing I've noticed over many years of making videos like this and reading your comments is that this subject seems to resonate with an awful lot of people. When I made my video Solo Wargaming Isn't What You Think It Is, quite a few viewers told me that one of the reasons they enjoy solo gaming so much is because they never have to argue with anyone. There are no debates over line of sight, no disagreements about intent, and no rules lawyers determined to squeeze every possible advantage out of a sentence in the rulebook. That really got me thinking, because while solo gaming has plenty of attractions, surely we shouldn't have to play alone simply to avoid disagreements. Now, one of the greatest strengths of our hobby is its social side, sitting around a table with friends, sharing stories, laughing when plans go spectacularly wrong, and admiring each other's painted armies. It's what keeps many of us coming back year after year. Now, before anyone misunderstands where I'm coming from, I'm not talking about competitive tournament play today. There are plenty of people who genuinely enjoy that environment, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Tournament players expect tighter interpretations, clear rulings and consistency across every table, because that's the nature of competitive gaming. It's a perfectly valid way to enjoy the hobby. What I'm really talking about today is a social game. The Saturday afternoon at the club, the campaign game with friends, the demonstration game at a show, the kind of game where the conversation is every bit as important as the dice rolling. Over the years, it's become increasingly clear from discussions on this channel that many veteran historical gamers become frustrated when rules as written begin to override common sense or historical plausibility. Most of us aren't trying to recreate history with absolute scientific precision, because that's impossible. Equally, we're not simply trying to exploit loopholes in a rule set, trying to create an entertaining version of history that feels believable. We want the battle to tell a story. That's often where disagreements begin, because one player is interpreting the literal wording while another is asking, yes, but would that really have happened? The problem is that once an argument starts, the game almost immediately loses its rhythm. 10 or 15 minutes spent debating a single paragraph doesn't just affect one moment, it breaks the immersion. Everyone starts checking watches, other players at the club glance over to see what's happening. The excitement drains away, and suddenly the battle feels more like a committee meeting than a recreation of Waterloo or Gettysburg. Now, thankfully, there are plenty of ways to avoid that, and over the years I've come across several approaches that I think work surprisingly well. Now, the first is something I like to think of as the rule of cool. It's really just a social contract between players before the game even begins. The agreement is simple. We're here to create an enjoyable battle rather than to win on a technicality. If a situation arises where the rules aren't completely clear, choose the outcome that creates the most memorable, dramatic or historically satisfying moment. Imagine a cavalry regiment charging an enemy whose flank is exposed by perhaps half an inch. You could spend 10 minutes measuring every angle with forensic precision, or you could simply agree that the cavalry catches them in a dramatic charge, because that's the exciting story everyone will remember afterwards. Nobody talks for years about that perfectly measured quarter inch. They remember the desperate cavalry charge that turned the battle. Another excellent solution is to use an umpire. Now, this might sound rather old-fashioned, but historically it was extremely common. Many classic war games were run with an umpire making impartial decisions, and there's a lot to be said for bringing back that idea. If there's somebody nearby who isn't involved in the game, perhaps another club member, the organiser of the event, or even someone just watching. Explain the situation in 15 seconds and ask for a ruling. The important part is agreeing beforehand that whatever they decide is final. No debate, no appeal. You accept the decision and carry on. Sometimes having an independent voice is enough to stop two players digging their heels in. Then there's perhaps the quickest solution of all. A dice off. Some people call it the rule of 4+. The idea could be simpler. If neither player can agree and you can't find the answer within 30 seconds, roll a dice. 4, 5 or 6 means one interpretation, 1, 2 or 3 means the other. Accept the result, play on and promise yourselves that you'll look up the correct answer after the game. It might sound a little random, but remember, the real goal isn't finding a perfect ruling in that exact moment. The goal is to preserve the flow of the battle. Most of the time, by the following week, nobody even remembers who won that dice roll. They remember the game itself. Another approach that works particularly well with historical gaming is what I call the sanity check. Sometimes rules as written produce results that simply don't make any sense. We've all seen examples where the wording technically allows something that would have been impossible in real life. Perhaps a unit can somehow shoot through the corner of a solid stone building or fire accurately through an impossibly dense forest because of an awkwardly written line of sight rule. Now, in those situations, it's worth asking a simple question. Does this actually make sense for the period we're recreating? If the answer is obviously no, perhaps common sense should take precedence. After all, historical gaming is about recreating believable situations, not exploiting accidental loopholes. One principle I've always liked is giving the benefit of the doubt to the defender, or if you prefer, to the non-active player. Whenever a measurement is impossibly close, perhaps a charge distance is within a millimetre or line of sight is genuinely debatable, award the decision to the player reacting rather than the player trying to gain the advantage. It encourages honesty, discourages overly ambitious measurements and removes any temptation to stretch the tape, measuring just a little further than perhaps it ought to go. More importantly, everybody knows the standard before the game begins, so there are fewer surprises later. Sometimes though, there isn't an obvious right or wrong answer, and that's where splitting the difference can work beautifully. Instead of arguing whether a hedge provides full cover or no cover, agree that for this situation it counts as a light cover. Rather than choosing between complete success or complete failure, meet somewhere in the middle. Compromising isn't always mathematically perfect, but socially it's often the best solution. Both players feel they've been treated fairly, and once again the battle keeps moving. One method that I think deserves to be used much more often is what I'd call the note and post-mortem pact. Instead of trying to solve every rules question then and there, make a temporary ruling using one of the methods described earlier, then write the question down on your phone or a notepad and carry on playing. Once the battle is over, perhaps over a cup of tea or something stronger, depending on your club, look up the answer properly, check the FAQs, see if the designer has clarified it online or discuss it with other players. If the rules still aren't clear, create a simple house rule that your group will use in future. The next time the same issue appears, and it always does, you've already solved it. Over time your group develops its own shared understanding of the rules without interrupting every single game. Underlying all of these ideas is what I think should probably be the golden rule of social wargaming. The flow of the game matters more than the exact ruling. It's worth saying again because I genuinely think it's the heart of the whole discussion. A quick decision made in good faith keeps everyone engaged. A 15-minute debate over a single paragraph just destroys the atmosphere for everybody around the table. Even if you eventually discover that your temporary ruling was technically wrong, you still preserved what mattered most, which was everyone having an enjoyable afternoon together. Now when I think back over my own favourite games, I honestly can't remember every individual rule that was applied incorrectly or correctly. What I do remember are the incredible moments, the lone battalion that somehow held the bridge against impossible odds, the cavalry charge that succeeded against all expectations, the artillery battery that somehow rolled exactly what was needed at the right moment. These stories stay with us because they're fun, they create memories. That's what this hobby has always been about for me. Perhaps that's why so many comments on this channel over the years have emphasised that historical wargaming is first and foremost a social hobby. Yes, we enjoy painting miniatures. Yes, we appreciate good rules. Yes, many of us love researching uniforms, tactics and military history. But ultimately, we're gathering around a table with like-minded people because we enjoy spending time together. The miniatures are important, the history is fascinating and the rules give us structure. But friendship is what makes the hobby special. No rulebook is worth damaging that over. So the next time you find yourself staring at a paragraph that could be interpreted 3 different ways, perhaps don't immediately reach for the online forums or prepare for a 20-minute debate. Pick one of these methods that I've already described. Use the rule of cool, ask an umpire, roll the dice, apply a little historical common sense, give the defender the benefit of the doubt, or just split the difference. Make a note, sort it out afterwards. Not every solution will suit every club or every gaming group, and that's perfectly fine. The important thing is finding an approach that works for the people around your gaming table. I'd also encourage you, if this discussion has struck a chord, to have a look at another video on this channel, the 5 Unwritten Rules of Wargaming, because it explores many of the same ideas about making our games more enjoyable for everyone involved. I'll put a link in the description below. So what do you think? Have you ever had a game completely derailed by a rules dispute? Does your club already have a system for resolving disagreements that I haven't mentioned? Which of these ideas do you think would work best for your gaming group? And are there any that you simply couldn't imagine using? I genuinely love to hear your thoughts because, as always, some of the best ideas shared on this channel come from the comments section. So that's it for this week. Please join the chat in the comments and don't forget to like, subscribe and ring the bell for your weekly fix. So until next week, stay safe, keep gaming and of course, keep rolling high.